episode of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. Excited to be with you and excited to share the news with you. And I apologize for not getting any videos out yesterday. I was stranded on the side of the road. So quick story before we get the stream going. I had to bring my boat. The trolling motor needed to be fixed. And then the prop was not working right. So I had to bring my boat to get fixed. I'm driving along. All of a sudden, a semi is honking at me uncontrollably. I look back, and the wheel on my trailer is smoking. The bearings were shot. The drum, it's got brakes on it. The drum was shot to crap. And I had to make roadside repairs. And I was literally on this from basically noon until 7 o'clock. Getting the things dropped off and getting to places and getting the stuff for my repair. So that's where I was yesterday. Apologize I wasn't with you, but do me a favor, please smash that like. Do chat in with where you're from. There's a few big stories breaking. I'm going to start with something big that just happened here with Joe Biden. Good to see you on, Michelle. But there was a statement from Joe Biden's doctor. Now, we all know that Joe Biden was not right. Okay, we all know that. He was not right while he was in the White House. And there was a massive cover-up over this whole thing. Well, now, Joe Biden's doctor is not even talking. He has his legal counsel speaking. If you remember, there's always been a long history of presidents having physicals and us knowing both the physical and mental health of our president and whether or not they can perform the job. So we even knew and was admitted that Reagan had Alzheimer's that was setting on towards the end of his administration as he was wrapping that up. That was all then came out and everything. Well, Joe Biden's doctor is struggling to answer basic questions from the House Oversight Committee. So listen to this. Statement on behalf of Dr. Kevin O'Connor, Chairman Comer, Ranking Member Garcia, and members of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. The fact that Garcia is even on the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, do you know that he came here illegally? I am not kidding you. I've looked into this. Garcia from California came here illegally. And he is on the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability? You have got to be freaking kidding me. But anyways, I digress. We're going to talk a little bit about the Epstein thing too. I see all the comments. Okay, that's in here as well. Good morning. My name is David Schertler, and along with my partner, Mark McDougall, we represent Dr. Kevin O'Connor. As you know, Dr. Kevin O'Connor served as the physician to President Biden during President Biden's term in office from January 2021 to January 2025. Dr. O'Connor has been President Biden's primary care physician for the 12 months before President Biden took office. It was Dr. O'Connor's privilege and honor to serve as President Biden's physician as head of the White House medical unit. Dr. O'Connor also served in the United States Army for more than 20 years, doing active tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. So they're trying to build this doctor up who has covered for Joe Biden, telling you that he has served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that somehow just gives him a pass, I guess. The committee has indicated Dr. O'Connor and his attorneys that it does not intend to honor one of the most well-known privileges in our law, the physician-patient privilege. Okay, the physician-patient privilege applies to you, okay? How many of you realize that this does not fully apply to the President of the United States of America? Just yes or no in the chat. Do you think that the President of the United States of America has the same rights to patient privilege as you, a citizen not running the largest government in the world, has? How many of you realize that? Do we have the right to know whether or not our president is capable of doing the job? Okay? Do we have the right to know that? We have the right to know that. The physician for Joe Biden is telling you that he has patient-client privilege and is not going to release the information about the President of the United States and his fitness to do the job. What does this tell you, my fine audience? What does this tell you? If they are unwilling to talk about the mental and physical condition of the former president of the United States of America, what does that tell you about the president's mental and physical state at the time he was doing his job? Thank you, Kevin. Patient privilege was not applied during COVID. No, in fact, we were told we had to take jabs. Okay? Yeah, there's a cover up here, folks. He was demented. None of this is looking good for the Biden regime. Okay? So again, this is all from the legal counsel, not from the doctor himself, but from legal counsel. He's got legal counsel representing him, telling you that he will not talk about Biden while he was in the White House. This committee has indicated to Dr. O'Connor and his attorneys that it does not intend to honor one of the most well-known privileges in our law, the physician-patient privilege. Instead, the committee has indicated that it will demand that Dr. O'Connor reveal, without any limitations, confidential information regarding his medical examinations, treatment, and care of President Biden. Revealing confidential patient information would violate the most fundamental ethical duty of a physician, could result in revocation of Dr. O'Connor's medical license, and would subject Dr. O'Connor to potential civil liability. Dr. O'Connor will not violate his oath of confidentiality to any of his patients, including President Biden. I'm calling total BS on this. Okay? No Dr. Potato confidentiality. Exactly. Furthermore, through the issuance of a presidential memorandum dated June 4th, 2025, President Trump has directed the Department of Justice and White House counsel to conduct a parallel criminal investigation into the same topics being investigated by this committee. Of course he has, because criminality actually occurred. Okay, do me a favor, smash that like if you would, chat in with where you're from, just to get this stream rolling. I do have one thing I got to mention really quickly. That's my sponsor, Birch Gold. You guys know, I think Trump's doing a great job. I don't know where you guys are at on this, and I've got some real questions once I'm done with this read, because there's some things going on out there, folks, that have got to be addressed. But Trump's been doing a great job, but of course, and moving the economy along at a breakneck speed. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, but Pulte is allowing now rent history to be taken into account when you're looking at credit on mortgages. This should have always been done. How can you have a perfect rental payment history and that not be counted into your credit in owning houses? So I think the Trump administration is doing a great job. But folks, I was just looking because people have been saying, oh, Neil, gold's done, gold's down. You know, and I honestly don't pay that much attention to it every day. I just buy it and hold it. But I'm going to tell you, so gold is down over the last week, it could be in the last 2 weeks, from 3,400 down to 30. It's lost $100. But its last 6 months, it's up 22.22%. How many things do you have that are up 22.22%? I invest in CDs in my bank, and I get 3.75 to 4%. Okay? So gold has performed very, very well. I think it's going to do better. Central banks are still buying up gold in record quantities, and you can easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical, tangible gold and silver, okay, to buy or store in your home or safe. Just text Lumberjack to 989-898 to get your free info kit on gold and silver, okay? That's Lumberjack to 989-898. to get your free info kit on gold and silver. All right. Now, I'm going to just finish reading this statement, and then we are going to move on to the whole Epstein thing. I promise you, okay, because it's important, and there's a lot I have to say on this. All right. Let me go back here. All right. Furthermore, okay, so there's a criminal investigation on. In fact, just this past Sunday, Chairman Comer himself confirmed on Fox News that Pam Bondi has announced an investigation at the Department of Justice into the legal use of Autopen. We believe that the committee should hold its investigation in abeyance until any criminal investigation has been concluded. Okay? In other words, the Autopen scandal is real. Dr. O'Connor, does not want to talk about this because of the implications for Joe Biden and also for the doctor himself. The totality of the circumstances surrounding this committee's investigation leave Dr. O'Connor no choice but decline to answer questions on two overlapping grounds. First, the physician-patient privilege. Again, we've talked about this. There is no physician-patient privilege for the President of the United States. We have a right to know if our chief executive of the largest country, of the largest military force on earth, okay, is mentally cognizant and physically able to do the job. Second, the pending Department of Justice criminal investigation leaves Dr. O'Connor no choice but to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Okay, so this is where they are going with this. Now, there's some big things happening in the Supreme Court as well, but I can tell everybody wants to talk about this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. So I'm going to talk about it quickly with you, okay? Now, let me just start with a basic question, and I want to see my chat before I really go on with this. How many of you, because I guess, you know, I was not a Trump supporter in the primaries back in 2015. I wanted somebody else. I came around to Donald Trump. I certainly couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. And I watched him deliver on his promises in his first term. There were a number of them. One, I'll just give you one example, moving the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, something every president before him had said they would do, but didn't do. Okay, there were multiple promises that Trump made and Trump kept. So let me just start. As a Trump convert who then felt it was the best vote I'd ever cast, I voted for him again and then again, okay? Now, here's the question. Do you trust Donald Trump? Let me just start with that. Just yes or no in the chat. I want to know, do you trust Donald Trump? Okay? Do you believe he learned from his first administration and that he's doing an even better job in his second? I've got one no. The rest are yeses so far. I'm looking for yes, 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 yes. I've got one no out of all these yeses. Okay. Second no. Third no. Okay. I'm up to 3 no's, and I don't even know how many yeses. Okay. All right. So, second question for my lovely audience. Okay. How many of you, this is by far, the yeses are far outweighing. How many of you, okay, let's stop answering that question because I want to get a clean slate here. And this is another yes/no question for you. How many of you are happy with how the Epstein situation has been handled? Just yes or no. Yes or no. How many of you are happy with how the Epstein list has been handled? Okay, I'm getting a lot of no's, a few yeses, but mostly no's. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's just talk about this. You trust Donald Trump, but you're not happy with the Epstein list and its handling. Okay, now, another question for you. Do you believe that Epstein kept a list? Yes or no? How many of you think Epstein had this list kept? Because there's people who actually believe that Epstein has kept the list. Okay? So people are just kind of, this is all over the place on this one. All right. Here's what I want to address. I interviewed Tim Ballard. Okay? Do you all know who Tim Ballard is of Operation Underground Railroad? Okay? Tim Ballard, Operation Underground Railroad. He was the one from DHS who then went out and formed Operation Underground Railroad to rescue kids out of sex trafficking. And Tim Ballard has fully 100% completely endorsed Donald Trump and thanked him for all his efforts to stop child sex trafficking. He said he has never had an administration. He's never seen an administration work so hard to stop this. Okay? Do y'all understand that? This is the guy who's literally fighting this on a daily basis, Tim Ballard, and giving Trump his complete, unquestioned endorsement and said nobody has done more, okay, for child sex trafficking than Donald Trump. Did you know that just the other day, well, not the other day, but back in April, okay, the end of April, the leaders of 7 were arrested and charged for operating global child exploitation enterprise. And I'm not talking about just low-level criminal thugs using child porn or something along this. But the leaders of a large enterprise doing global child exploitation were arrested, okay, and charged for operating this global enterprise, okay? Now, if you trust Donald Trump, and most of you are saying that you do, okay, there's one of two ways to go with this, okay? I am going to firmly state that I do not believe Dan Bongino gave up $30 million a year to cover up Jeffrey Epstein. I think if you believe that, you're a little goofy in the head. I 100% believe you're goofy in the head. And I think that you are falling for something here. There's multiple things that can be true at the same time. And do you think it is possible that, let me just, I'm going to read something from Andrew Branca that I found. Okay, so just listen to this. Barely 18 months ago, Kash Patel said there was a list. Bill Gates is on it, and he was lobbying the government to not disclose the list, and that Republicans were feckless for having a majority and doing nothing. 18 months ago, Patel was not the director of FBI, did not have access to the list, okay, and was speaking in explicitly speculative terms while a t-shirt wearing guest on a podcast. None of these statements were presented as authoritative and based on personal knowledge. Throughout his career as a commentator and analyst, Bongino has implored the audience to never give up on the Epstein story. Okay? That's that there is something much deeper in there. It involves intelligence and Middle Eastern countries. Similar story here. Bongino was speaking as a commentator analyst, not as someone with personal knowledge, and he may even have been right. Everyone might be right that a huge cover-up is happening, okay? Now, but there's little that Bondi, Patel, or Bongino can do in July 2025 with conspiracy theories. They need actual evidence of criminal conduct. It's quite possible that the evidence was obliterated before these three assumed the reins of power, in which case, no matter what actually happened, these people have no evidence of criminal conduct to pursue. Now, there's multiple things with that too, because do you remember the gal, what was her name? Somebody's going to know this, who was, she said that there was video of her being raped by these men. She was hit by a bus. She lived and then later supposedly committed suicide. What was her name? I can't remember that, but I remember the story. Do you remember this gal? Literally, like, she's hit by a bus, survives, and then she commits suicide? I mean, who believes that? I mean, seriously, I don't believe that. I don't. Okay? I still don't really believe. Yes, thank you, Virginia Goofrey. That's right. Yes, her. Okay, thank you. I knew my audience would get it because you're a great audience. Keep up with things as well. So I remember that story. And I honestly do not believe that she committed suicide. I don't necessarily believe that Epstein committed suicide. It all seems too odd, right? That doesn't mean that my belief. Now, let me ask you this question. If there was irrefutable evidence that he had committed suicide, right? If you actually had the evidence sitting and you believe for all this time, and you're like, no, Epstein didn't kill himself. And let's just say there was a video of Epstein killing himself. Okay, and it wasn't AI. It could be proven that it wasn't AI. It had timestamp from the time, you had the EXIF data on the video and everything. Would you change your mind? Yes or no? Would you change your mind? I'm really curious here. If you had the hard factual evidence, would you change your mind? I mean, so I'm only bringing this up because oftentimes we get locked in. The reason I continued on with the election. See, some people still would not change their mind, even with the evidence. This is very telling. So it's the same thing. So when I was covering the election issues in 2020, one reason I've never backed off that is because there's plenty of evidence around that. Okay. And I've gone down this road countless times, how we don't have the things that should be there, how evidence was deleted, all this stuff, right? I have that. I've looked into it ad nauseum. I've looked into it. Okay. And there's circumstantial evidence, but there's also hard data on that. I don't have that with Epstein. Okay. I do not have, Epstein definitely killed himself. Okay. Now I may not believe he killed himself. Okay. But I don't have hard evidence that he didn't. Okay. Now, if Bongino and Patel are looking at it and they're saying the evidence we have is showing us that he did actually kill himself, well then, what are you going to do, folks? You either have to give these people some level of trust or you don't. And I trust Kash Patel and Dan Bongino a lot more than I ever trusted James Comey. So a lot of people, there's all these theories. Some people believe he's in witness protection. I see that popping up. And we have a president who has done more to stop child exploitation and child trafficking than any other president before. Furthermore, I can look at everything else going on with the Trump administration, and I am very pleased with it. Okay? Whether it's the big, beautiful bill and crackdown on the border and the increased border funding, building of the wall. I mean, we basically have closed the border. We were told we needed an act of Congress. Trump has closed the border. He's closed it. Absolutely 100% closed the border. It's obvious I have some liberals in the chat. I see that. But he has 100% closed the border. He is also arrested more criminal illegal aliens and deported them than anybody I know. I mean, he is doing a dynamite job. Okay? So Sonia says it's not about him killing himself, it's about justice for the children. I totally understand that. But if you don't have the evidence, if the evidence was destroyed, do you honestly think that Merrick Garland was like, oh yeah, do you guys remember when they had this, do you guys remember before Trump was able to take office? Do you remember the industrial shredders? Come on, people. Do you remember the industrial shredders? How many of you remember this stuff? So now everybody's just going, oh, they're just bad people. They're covering up everything. And we saw industrial shredders pulling up to these buildings and shredding everything. Industrial shredders that could shred videotapes. Now, Pam Bondi has handled this terribly. I don't know, is anybody pleased with how Pam Bondi has handled this? I am not struggling Omega Supreme cheese with cheese. I'm not struggling at all. Okay? Now, going back to this, I'm going to finish reading this. Okay, then it goes down to the file was on her desk, but what does the file mean? Bondi didn't know. She explicitly said the file was on her desk for her review. Jonathan Tay, thank you. It's so good to see you on. Jonathan, folks, loves America, and he's over in Australia. And you would not believe what they've gone through in Australia. You think it's been bad here. Holy cats. We are being told that Epstein killed himself, which even if it is true, itself is a scandal requiring investigation. That there is no client list, no blackmail material, and that we should just move on with our lives. The file was on her desk, but what does that file mean? Now we hear, while voluminous, it did not contain evidence of criminal conduct. Now, I need to like go back to something else. Do you remember when we found out, because there are documents on this, that here we go. Here's what I'm looking for. The FBI documents, you can find these everywhere. Here, I'll show you this. Okay, so there are FBI documents. So it's not like there's nothing here. Okay, these are FBI documents. Okay, and Epstein also provided information to the FBI. I'm reading from the documents. Okay, so this is from the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 2008. On 9/11, 2008, case agent advised. Isn't that interesting? On September 11th, the dates always interest me. I mean, I think there's like significance to that. Case agent was advised writer that Epstein is currently being prosecuted by the state of Florida and is complying with all conditions of his plea with the state of Florida. Epstein has also provided information to the FBI as agreed upon. Case agent advised, that no federal prosecution will occur in this matter as long as Epstein continues to uphold his agreement with the state of Florida. So the FBI investigating 36 young girls that Epstein, did dastardly deeds with, okay, until Epstein agreed to rat out Wall Street hedge fund executives for laundering money. Then the feds agreed to bury the federal charges, and the FBI admitted, this is in 2008, that Epstein is their informant, okay? So, I don't know. This is the thing. I don't know everything that's going on. And what's wild to me is watching everybody pretend that they do. I mean, Bonnie may have handled this poorly. She may not have done well with the press, but I cannot believe that everybody thinks they know exactly everything because they can infer it out of their own mind. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. That's conjecture, okay? Now, you can postulate, you can throw out your ideas, just like I don't believe Epstein necessarily killed himself. I don't believe Virginia killed herself. I know that terrible things happened under Epstein. But again, I don't know everything or why it was done. Everybody's like, oh, he was a Mossad agent, he was this, he was that. Do you know what I do know, though? Moving on from this, but I just want you to know where I'm at. So let me just make a clear statement. Then I've got another story here that's really important. I actually trust Donald Trump, who has done more to stop child trafficking, close our border, and arrest pedophiles than anybody else. So, and I actually trust Dan Bongino, who gave up. That's literally his podcast. I know what kind of numbers he was doing. I know the sponsorship dollars and everything. His podcast was huge. That's right. Do you believe it or do you know it? That was a great comment. And he gave up $30 million. And some people say, well, he's already got the money. He can just give it up. Maybe he wants the power and influence of being deputy director of the FBI. Really? So you can get this kind of crap every day? Seriously, you're going to give up $30 million and a great life to be taken to task and called a liar every day. Why? I just wish people would think that aspect of it through. I actually trust Dan Bongino. So you guys go do what you want. I'm going to trust him, and I'm going to trust that they're doing right, okay? Now, something that's really interesting, though, did you guys see that there is now flash flooding the other day in New Mexico and now Arkansas? How many of you have seen this? So we had Texas, North Carolina, then New Mexico, and now Arkansas. Have you guys all seen this? The new one, Arkansas? I think that right now there are these other issues that Trump is dealing with. Right now, Putin is trying to jerk him along, and he's getting ticked off with it. Okay, so he's got that issue to deal with. He's got flooding here at home. He's got the border. Do you, honestly even begin to comprehend all that Trump has going on? I just boggles my mind. All right, so here's the thing, and you guys probably saw this. How many of you saw the report that there was cloud seeding being done by this company 2 days before in Texas? Now, do you think it's possible then that cloud seeding? The New Mexico event was 1 in 1,000 years. The floodwaters rose 20 feet in 30 minutes. 20 feet in 30 minutes. More homes being swept away. Like, what is going on with that? I mean, again, I'm not saying I know everything. And this weather manipulation company down in Texas tried to go on and say, oh, we only seeded 2 clouds. And then we had to quit because of high moisture content in the sky. Yet if you looked at the 7-day forecast, like the week beforehand, there's like no moisture in the sky. Now, I understand that weather can change at the drop of a hat. But this is getting a little bizarre. How many 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 year events need to happen within a week to make you go like, what the heck's going on there? I'm just saying, again, I don't, do I know everything for sure? No, but I can tell you this is odd, very odd. I think we are 100% right to question it. Okay? Where was this? I had something here. Oh, by the way, back to one last thing on Epstein. Elon Musk now says that Steve Bannon, who I'm going to meet this weekend at the Turning Point USA Student Action Summit, and I will interview him, folks. I'm going to get Steve Bannon on this show for you. That's my big thing. Him and Tom Homan. I want to meet Tom Homan, the board czar. But Elon Musk has now said Bannon is on the Epstein list. He started when he went off all AWOL on Trump that, it appears Elon's got some real issues. I mean, I'm sorry. But Elon is saying that Trump is on the Epstein list and now Bannon's on the Epstein list. Okay. It appears that Elon Musk has the Epstein list. Since he knows everybody who's on it. The Epstein list, it appears then that why isn't he releasing the list? Is Elon complicit? Is Elon on the list? Apparently he knows everybody who's on the list, but he doesn't want to, old combat vet, I saw that. If you expect to get everything you want, you are a spoiled brat. Think of where we would be if Harris Obama won. That is exactly it. I do not even, I just, people blow my mind. Everybody's acting like little spoiled brat babies out there, okay? So I'm serious about this. You can go unsubscribe from me all you want. I really don't give a crap, okay? If you like me, subscribe. It's free for you to subscribe. But I'm like so happy Trump is in office. And I can't believe after 6 months, everybody's having a freak out and saying Trump's a deep stater. The deep state tried to shoot him. God help us all. And then Elon Musk, people are phoning, oh, Elon. I think the world is run by bot accounts. I do not believe this crap on social media is real. So if Elon's got the list, release it, Elon. Show us your proof. You're telling us everybody we like is on the list. And then, if you guys want to know just how stupid this is, and why I'm really pissed off about this, and I'm going to let myself go here for just a second. Some of you probably get ticked off at me, but you want to know why I'm really ticked off? So Elon goes out and starts the America Party. Mr. South African with an Indian person starts the America Party, okay? And everybody's saying, oh yeah, I love America Party. And then furthermore, now Elon makes his big statement on the America Party, the Epstein list. We're going to release the Epstein list, if it even exists anymore, okay? And yet now it's dividing the MAGA movement, which is the only movement that's going to save this country. And some of you are buying into it. Do you guys get why I'm upset? Musk is acting like a spoiled brat. He starts a second party, then uses the Epstein list that's got you all worked up and saying that he's going to release it even if he can't. blows my mind. We've had more positive changes through Donald Trump in his 6 months than we went backwards in the 4 years with Joe Biden. And if you want to know just how bad it could be, okay, do you remember the mysterious death of Antonin Scalia? Do you remember this? And then we ended up, they were going to stick, and then do you remember when they were going to stick Merrick Garland in as a Supreme Court justice? Well, listen to this. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Okay, Agent Orange said something. I got to get this because Agent Orange, man, we're going to see what he wrote. Roger Stone wrote a book where he says is up to 80 to 90%. Epstein lists his name. I do not know the name of the book. So, you know, I don't know either. And I don't know if Roger Stone's, like, a lot of people are, I'll be honest. I mean, I've been around this stuff now for a little while. And one of the things, like, I'm going to the Turning Point event, but one of the things that keeps me from networking too much with a lot of people in these positions is most of them are out for themselves. Okay. Now, all of us need to make a living in whatever we do in life. Okay. But a lot of people are lying. They are. And I've seen it. And I've never mixed well with high society. I mean, like, I relate well to, like, owners of companies. I always have. Okay. But I don't want to mix well with high society. Do you guys all understand what I'm saying? I know this is kind of weird and it's a little divergent here. But a lot of these people have their own reasons for doing this, and they're not always honorable. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn because, you know, whatever. Old combat vet said trade-off, hide his elite demons on the Epstein list, and the Dark Lord will allow Trump to take a few lesser demons. It's just, I've never gotten into it, you know, cocktail parties and all that. Partly I just don't drink. And I'm just not into that. And I saw somebody say moves and counter moves, hard to keep up with it all. And I just don't feel I know everything to that point. And I mean, I like people. I really do. I like you. I like my audience. I think you guys are great. I really do. Even when you don't agree with me. I love people. And I don't want to spend my life being bitter, angry, holding on to offense. I just don't want to go that way. I don't. And like I said, I don't mix real well with high society. A lot of these people, I just don't like how they operate. I just don't. I don't. You know, that's why I do my little podcast from northern Minnesota. I try to formulate, you know, my thoughts, and I try to convey those to you in a reasonable manner. And hopefully, you know, and obviously some of you like it, some of you don't. I mean, I see the comments. I mean, you know, some people don't like it. You know, whatever. I'm just who I am. So people will either like me for who I am or not. But I don't need to become something for somebody to make them like me. And neither do you. Neither do you. Y'all understand what I'm saying there? Like, Jesus went to the cross for you, whether you believe in him or not. God is no respecter of persons. And you don't have to, I'm talking about, like, your personality, your moral code. You know, there are obviously things, if you were to follow Jesus, that you would potentially need to change. I mean, you can't just hold on to your own way. Somebody super chatted me. I know they had a comment they didn't like me earlier, but I will always read every super chat. Free Ghislaine. She did nothing wrong. Traffic no one to no one. Justice for Ghislaine. Okay. Well, obviously that's not the case. Omega Supreme with cheese. Ghislaine worked with him. They certainly took advantage of girls. I just don't know who they were trafficked to specifically. I believe Bill Clinton, they were trafficked to him, but that's what I believe. I mean, I think he showed up on the flight logs to the island enough. But see, here's the problem with that. Unless you need more evidence than just making it to the island. You do understand that, right, people? For an actual prosecution, okay? For an actual prosecution, you can't just say, well, he went to the island. That doesn't work. I'm just saying, you do understand that, right? You can't get a prosecution out of that. Like, do I believe Bill Clinton's clean? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He's 100% not clean. But if you don't, like, you need witnesses testifying against him. You need a whole case, not just flights to an island. It doesn't work that way. Spartacus says they had the evidence and now they don't, which may be the case. But I want to mention Ketanji Brown Jackson because she's just been getting taken to task. And I hope you guys saw the other day that there was a massive win, which allowed Trump to continue the firings in spite of the protests of the federal government employees unions, right? So listen to this. This is out of the Western Journal. It was bad enough for Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson when the court's conservatives were shredding her legal chops to pieces in published opinions. Now even one of her fellow SCOTUS lefties is following suit. In a decision that lifted a lower court order preventing President Donald Trump's administration from laying off government employees while litigation works its way through the court. So again, all that the court was saying is that he can continue to do this while the litigation works its way through the court. This is, again, all these TROs, temporary restraining orders and everything. It's like, pull that back. Justice Sonia Sotomayor got attention for having to remind Jackson. So we're talking Sotomayor, one of the most liberal, goofy justices, right? Reminding Jackson, like, Jackson is so dumb. Like, she's really dumb. I'm not even kidding you, folks. I'm not talking like I don't like her opinions. I mean, there's people who are actually, like, Barack Obama was actually smart, whether you want to think he was smart or not. I mean, he could put his arguments together. He knew how to kind of schmooze the people, all that kind of stuff. I don't like Barack Obama, but like even Bill Clinton, they were smart. This gal is not smart. She's not smart. Do you understand that? I mean, like, she is literally stupid. She's stupid. I'm not joking. When one of her own side, the leftist loonies, okay, has to remind her. I mean, there's a problem, okay? Her opinion didn't actually deal with the matter before the court. The case, American Federation of Government Employees versus Trump, has to do with whether or not reductions in workforce initiated by the executive need to go through the Merit Systems Protection Board, which protects federal employees from politically motivated layoffs. And none of this is politically motivated. It's designed to save us money, okay? You get no points for guessing which liberal justice didn't side with the conservative majority in overturning the lower court's decision. In her one-woman dissent, Jackson said that Trump sharply departed from settled practice. And now, Ketanji Brown Jackson is telling you that the Constitution needs to be defended. Like, you have got to be kidding me. So, we are seeing significant wins here on the court. And this lady, I mean, honestly, she needs to be impeached. There's no reason a person this stupid should be on the Supreme Court. Also, folks, I don't know if you guys know this. I got free shipping back on the MyPillow. For those who don't know, if you go to mypillow.com/lumberjack, I got free shipping. I don't even know how long this is going to last because it was off. I said it was on, and Mike was kind enough to put it back on. That is the true story of what happened there. So take advantage of it. You even get the free shipping on the big items, mattresses and mattress toppers. Okay, so keep getting. I know there's trolls on here. I know. Just ignore them. But 1-800-568-2865. 1-800-568-2865. That's the number. Go check it out because phenomenal deals and $29.98 on the percale sheets right now. So phenomenal deal there on the percales. And these DEI hires, we need to get rid of them. There is no Epstein client list, says Epstein clients. Kevin Taylor. I know. I understand people. I do. They're totally clients of Jeffrey Epstein. And, you know, there's got to be people who can be implicated. I understand everything there. I do. So, and we all want to see justice. But, you know, I don't know what the answers are. I can just tell you that I trust Trump. And no one's done more to stop child trafficking than Donald Trump. I don't know. I trust him. How many times, let me ask you this question. Do you remember when we were told Trump was starting World War III because he bombed some Iranian nuclear facilities? How many of you remember this? And all these influencers, quote unquote, on X were running around, Trump starting World War III, Jew lover, oh my gosh, you know, and all this. Just stop. How many times have all these people been proven wrong about Donald Trump? How many times? How many times do you need to listen to these influencers who are rage baiting for clicks? How many times do you need to listen to the mainstream media to believe they're lying to you when all they do is lie? Okay? I just, thank you. I saw Trump is kicking arse. Don't be distracted by the carnival barkers. I've seen this time and time again. I remember, look, folks, I'm going to give you a story. Please forgive me for this. Okay? I was wrong. I'm just going to say this up front so you guys don't start barking at me in the chat. But when President Trump back in his first term started talking about tariffs, I thought, what is he doing? I like free trade. I do. I like free trade. Do you know what I found out? Through President Trump, there was no free trade. They're tariffing us and we're not tariffing them. I learned that from him. I was wrong. And I quickly found out, and then I studied Trump more, and I found out that his policies were right. Okay? So I was wrong. Do you see how easy that is? To say, I was wrong. Trump was right, and I'm sorry. Okay? It's like, and you're going to see this time and time again. People are going to be flipping out, and then you're going to see it come around. So you're right. Stay in prayer, Zandu Ranch Getaway. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. Father God, we just thank you and praise you. You're glorious. You're merciful. And you are so loving, Lord. You love us so much. Thank you so much for sending Jesus. Thank you so much for taking the burden of sin upon yourself when you didn't have to. The most pure, perfect, holy individual took on the sins of the world. If anybody had the right to be bitter, it was you, Lord. It was you. When you were carrying that cross up that hill, you could have said, really? They released Barabbas? All I did was heal them and they wanted to hang, put me on that cross, hang me on that cross and let Barabbas go free? You had every right to say we would never change and to cast us aside, and you did not. I thank you for that. And Lord, right now, we need help as a nation. We need justice for those who have been harmed. We need righteousness to reign, and we need national revival. We pray for our country. We pray for Donald Trump, Lord. We pray that you would continually be in his mind, engaging with him to make the right decisions for our nation. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Guys, keep fighting the good fight, man. I'm telling you, we're winning. And I just, people get so distracted, so off on single issues and, get so upset because they don't get their way. And just don't go down that road. Don't give those people too much time, all right? And I understand people can have different thoughts. I want you to understand that. And I respect people's different opinions. And people can be upset about things. But I think that if you focus too much on that and distract from the fact that over 1,000 pedophiles have been arrested, under the Trump administration, leaders of criminal pedophile organizations as well. Okay? I love y'all. Keep fighting the good fight. All right? Peace out.